Bonjour, mes chers amis. Good morning, everyone. Thank you to my fellow leaders for your timely and salient remarks. And above all, thank you, Volodymyr, for hosting today's summit and for your courageous leadership as the duly elected democratic leader of this great nation. Since the start of Russia's full-scale illegal war of aggression 3 years ago, you've shown remarkable personal bravery, resilience, and resolve, a defiant spirit mirrored by the unbreakable Ukrainian people. You continue to inspire me and tens of millions of my fellow citizens back home in Canada. But let us be frank, you and the Ukrainian people should never have had to endure even a single day of this unjustified, brutal war, let alone 1,096 of them, or more accurately, over 4,000 of them since Russia illegally seized Crimea back in 2014. This is not a conflict Ukraine wanted, provoked, or asked for in any way. This is a war started for one reason and one reason only: Russia's desire to erase Ukrainian history and expand their empire. Russia's actions are nothing short of a direct attack against the rules-based international order, an order established in response to the most destructive war in our collective history, a war etched in the memory of the citizens of all of our respective nations for the past 80 years. An order which, albeit imperfect, ushered in the most peaceful and prosperous era in the history of humanity. We cannot go back. We cannot return to an era where might makes right. We must do everything in our power to enable Ukraine to secure a just and lasting peace, a peace that cannot be achieved without Ukrainians at the table. That is precisely what Canada is focused on. Canada has been a steadfast, unshakable partner to Ukraine since the beginning, and that will never, ever change. Le Canada est fier du travail qu'on a accompli avec vous tous autour de cette table pour faire que la Russie paye le prix de cette invasion inhumaine, que ce soit avec des sanctions ou en offrant aux Ukrainiens de l'aide humanitaire, financière et militaire dont ils ont besoin pour se défendre et faire obstacle au régime russe. But I know, we all know, there is more work to do. That is why I am announcing Canada will be providing 25 more LAV-3 infantry fighting vehicles to Ukraine. We will be delivering 2 armored combat support vehicles which Ukrainian forces will be trained on shortly in Germany. Landing systems for F-16s were delivered just 2 months ago, and 4 F-16 flight simulators will be provided in the coming months. And that's on top of the millions of additional rounds of ammunition, components for drone cameras, and first aid kits. We're also dispersing the first installment of the $5 billion in assistance to Ukraine funded through revenues from frozen Russian assets, along with providing a grant to help Ukraine maintain its energy security in the wake of consistent, reckless attacks by Russia on Ukrainian energy infrastructure. Throughout all this, we need to keep in mind the size of the human cost of the Russian aggression for the past 3 years. Ukrainians who've lost their lives fighting courageously for their land, children taken from their families and homes and communities, which is a disgusting war crime, and violence subjected to prisoners of war taken by Russia. Implementing the Montreal Pledge to address the human costs of the war, a declaration made at the conference we co-hosted there last autumn with Norway and Ukraine, is more urgent than ever. We will continue to work with Ukrainian forces through Operation Unifier, which has already trained tens of thousands of Ukrainian soldiers. And once a just peace is secured, Canada stands at the ready to work with our partners around the world to provide Ukraine the security it needs for the peace to last, allowing it to recover, rebuild, and prosper. Regardless of the great distance separating our two countries, Canada knows this is a war that we cannot afford to ignore. I know the stakes. Canadians know the stakes. All of you around this table know the stakes. And most of all, Ukrainians know the stakes. This is a war of aggression on Ukraine's people, culture, identity, and very existence. But it's also a war on our way of life. It's a war on democracy, on the rule of law, on self-determination, a war on justice, and a war on truth. At this critical moment, I think of the words of the great Ukrainian poet, Taras Shevchenko, whose works have been echoed by millions of Ukrainians as a source of inspiration. You must fight on, you will triumph. God is helping, leading. At your back are justice, glory, and sacred freedom. That excerpt was proudly recited in Independence Square by Serhiy Nihoyan, the first martyr of the Revolution of Dignity, shortly before he was killed. And 11 years later, it continues to ring true. Ukrainians will triumph because Ukrainians are fighting for what is right. But they cannot and should not do it alone. It's up to all of us in this room and around the world to meet this moment as well. And we can't wait. The moment to stop this war of aggression, the moment to defend democracy, the moment to stand for our shared values is now. So let us seize it. Merci beaucoup, mes amis. Slava Ukraini.